The legends of the wheated bourbons from Buffalo Trace. We got the old Rip Van Winkle, William Larue Weller, Pappy 15. I've never had any of these before. It took a while to assemble the dream team, and we're fresh cracking them all today. Welcome back to another episode of Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and today we have got a legendary tasting assembled for you guys. We've got the Pappy 15, the 24 William Larue Weller, as well as the old Rip Van Winkle. Both of these are 2023 releases. Doesn't matter. I've never had any of them before, never tried a pour. But all three of these pours have all been prohibitively expensive for me over like the last decade. Never wanted to spend the money to try them, but I've been able to assemble these bottles over a lot of work. Had to purge a lot of bottles to get a few of them. For fresh cracking them both, this one I was only able to get an open one. Didn't want to pay the price to get a new one. So if you want to try this sample set for yourself, along with a non-chill filter OWA with a Weller foolproof store pick, I'm going to be raffling off a sample bundle at the end of this video. So make sure that you comment below Neat Bourbon as well as subscribe to the channel. That'll guarantee yourself entry into the contest. Anyways, back to today's video. This is the 24 William Larue Weller. A buddy of mine was able to win this in the Virginia lottery. And he was nice enough to let me buy the bottle from him. Very thankful for this bottle. Thank you so much, Willie. Willie will actually be coming over later tonight to do this exact same sample. I've never even smelled William Larue Weller. That was pretty cool. I mean, this bottle has been a dream of mine to own, since I got into bourbon, as well as the Pappy 15. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the 20 is cool. The 23 is awesome. Like, those are definitely flexes to have on your bar, but I had to give up like 3 really nice bottles as well as a fair chunk of cash to bring home this 15-year. Yeah, it's probably the most I've ever traded for a bottle for sure. But again, won the William Larue Weller and was able to get that for 150 bucks. So I was like, might as well assemble, my dream blind, or at least dream sample set, and try them all at the same time, because I've never had the old Rip, never had the WLW, and never actually had a Pappy. So we've got them all here today. I'm going to go ahead and get them poured up for you guys. All right, great. So we got the old Rip Van Winkle, William Larue Weller, and then the Pappy 15. Two is a lot. Man, that old Rip smells good. Wow. I mean, that, like, the oak influence is something that I really wanted to make. I really wanted to have on these, because, don't get me wrong, I love, OWA. Like, I love antique. Weller foolproof, I think it really amps up the viscosity a little bit. Like, berry notes a little bit stronger. Like, the viscosity, I think, is really what does it for me, for why I like the foolproof over the antique. But what's lacking for those, for me at least, is like the oak influence. Like, I dig some deep, dark, rich oak, but on this old Rip, it really does shine through. Man, it just smells like nice, rich, like seasoned oak. There's a lot of berry sweetness coming through there. You get a little bit of like some brown sugar sweetness in there as well. Like, this is fantastic. So if this is just the starting point, this is going to be good. Anyways, off to the palate. Cheers. Man. Wow. That is good. Man, that finish, it keeps building. It's a darker oak presence, like straight up front. Then it kind of goes over into like that berry medley. And then the finish and like the heat really like starts to build in the chest. Right off the bat, like, I mean, not $700 good, but dang it if that's not everything that I hoped OWA would be. This is coming to 107 proof. If this was, the Weller Antique, my gosh. It's got the berry profile is a little bit richer, a little bit more like luscious there. The oak just kind of really does it for me. Going for one more. Yeah, vanilla really started to come out there in the mid palate, but it'll hit right up front with a little bit of that oak. Like, it's not bitter, but if it was aged a little bit longer, I feel like oak might have become like a little bit bitter. It's leaning like right on the edge of like astringency there. It's definitely a rich oak there right up front, and then it goes straight over into that berry medley, which I freaking love. And then that vanilla on the back end with that finish. I mean, this is like fantastic. Love it. So just kind of like sweet all the way through. Like, that's a fantastic pour, but man, does this oak influence really amp up Old Rip. So first impressions, like it a lot. Yeah, I paid a premium for that. You know, had to give away 2 bottles to be able to afford it, but, you know, happy to have it. Very first Old Rip. You know, not disappointed in that. Now, we're going to go over to the Pappy 15. Both Old Rip, Pappy 15 from 2023. Like the brightness, don't get me wrong, the oak is still very apparent on this, but like the sweetness coming off of the nose, this one doesn't seem quite as sweet. Man, like that deep, rich oak, similar to how you get them, like I've had George T. Staggs, that refined, super dense, dark, rich, almost cinnamon oak there. That's maybe like there's like a honey, like graham cracker action going on there. Man, like that honey, very apparent. Yeah, a lot of berry there too, but like I wanted to call it that honey graham cracker because that was not something that I was getting on the OWA. Anyways, we're gonna go off to the palate. Cheers. Man, that's so good. Immediately, right off the bat, the refined nuance of flavor, the complexity is leaps and bounds above the Old Rip. But immediately, the robustness, that oak up front and then vanilla, like the Old Rip was more robust. First impressions, the Old Rip was by far more robust. It took a second for the flavors and all the nuance take over the palate, but man, once it went back, how the flavors evolved from front to mid to back. The oak was there. It wasn't quite as like strong. I had a very strong oak punch on the Old Rip. This one's more of like a seasoned, matured wood that kind of like stays with you throughout. Like the fruitiness is very much like you know, candied blackberries, candied strawberries. The candied red berry profile just kind of stayed with you. And then on the finish, vanilla frosting, like a very, very sugar forward vanilla note onto the finish. The finish didn't quite build quite as strong. The flavors stayed with you, which is exactly still taste it. I have to go like that. That's really good. Man, it just really evolves on the palate. That's really good. I don't think that 15-year will do that well in a blind because I think of how nuanced a lot of the flavors are, how layered they are, the quick transitions. Like it just isn't quite as like boom explosive as the Old Rip. I honestly think the Old Rip might do like a hair better and would do a little bit better holding itself up to higher proofs. 15-year, going for one more. Velvet on the palate. That's real good. Best bourbon I've ever had? No, but that's awesome. I get why there's a lot of hype behind it. I sought out the 15-year specifically because of all the reviews and reading that I've done on Reddit, like in various other forums. Everyone kind of pointed me to as the 15-year kind of being the holy grail of the Pappy lineup. I know some kind of like the 20, but I think the 15 kind of had more votes. So off to the unicorn, I guess you could say the bunch. This is the 2024 William Larue Weller. The sweetness coming off of the William Larue is very intense, very luscious. I'm not getting the nearly amount of oak that I'm getting off of the Pappy, and the robustness of the old Rip is comparable to this, the pungent, luscious fruit notes I'm getting off of the William Larue. Again, I've never even smelled this before. This is, I mean, super excited. I've been itching for like the last 3 days since I got all these to finally open them up and try them. It's like it's just vanilla, red berry, and like a little bit of oak, but man, that berry is so intense. Anyways, off to the palate. Cheers. That's Jolly Ranchers. That viscosity is right on time. That is velvet on the palate. A berry note. Almost blueberry. It's so sweet there. Man, that finish is still going. Wow. Not quite as refined as the Pappy 15, but the flavor punch, the refinedness of the oak is very similar. But man, like so intense, so dark, so rich. It's like a rich, dark, like Luxardo cherry that then kind of transitions into like a sweeter finish that almost becomes like a blueberry compote there. Like I can still taste it. I had like, yeah, wow. Man, that's good. I mean, first taste, I'd buy William Larue over Pappy 15. I don't know that. See, I have read reviews on this. I've read a bunch of people saying that it kind of drinks a little bit more ethanol forward. I've never tried a William Larue to be able to compare this to, but I can see how the ethanol is a little bit more apparent on this. Definitely was not apparent on the 15. This is butter in a glass that's just layered with candy, tons of oak with, you know, vanilla ice cream on the end down below. Anyways, guys, I can't thank you enough for being a part of the channel, being with me across this journey to get to the point to be able to have these bottles to be able to try here. It is such a freaking delight to be able to give these samples away, because without you guys, I definitely wouldn't have gotten to this point, wouldn't have built the collection that I've had. I can't thank you so much for all the recommendations over the last 2 years. So y'all are amazing. This is all for you guys. So I appreciate y'all so much. And this is Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner. And pop the bottles and share the pours. And we'll see you in the next one.